Hello and welcome. I'm Blair Blackwell, and this is the Daily Market Brief. Let's catch up on what's moving in markets today. Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 19th, and this is your London Open Prep. Two themes set the tone: a cautious Europe as investors wait for Nvidia's results, and the data-heavy day in the UK and the US that could nudge rates expectations and the dollar, while safe haven flows keep gold supported. Across Europe, futures point to a softer start as the tech mood wobbles ahead of Nvidia's quarterly update after the US close. The backdrop is more than just earnings. Europe's industrial base is still tied to China for key rare earths, a reminder of supply chain concentration that policymakers have yet to unwind. In the UK, inflation is front and center. Consensus looks for a further cooling in October, with headline and core price growth seen easing, and markets already leaning toward a Bank of England rate cut in December, with odds around 80%. Sterling has been softer into the print, and in cross-currents, the pound has slipped against the yen, which found a bid after recent underperformance. The Eurozone's final inflation reading is also due, but it's unlikely to shift the European Central Bank's stance. Meanwhile, in Japan, the yen is steadier after plumbing multi-month lows. Traders are watching for signs of official discomfort with currency weakness, and for any policy hints as officials huddle over a sizable fiscal package. Tensions with China are adding a wrinkle, with reports Beijing intends to renew a ban on Japanese seafood imports. In broader geopolitics, there's reporting the US is quietly drafting a new plan to end the war in Ukraine, while Washington moves ahead on weapons sales to Saudi Arabia. Turning to commodities, gold is edging closer to the 4,100 mark as investors seek safety and look to the Federal Reserve's meeting minutes for guidance on the rate path. Oil has slipped after another U.S. inventory build and persistent concerns that supply is running ahead of demand, a drag on commodity-linked currencies like the Canadian dollar. On the currency tape, risk sensitivity remains the driver. The Australian and New Zealand dollars are under pressure after a mixed Asia session and questions around stretched equity valuations. The dollar is mixed elsewhere, with dollar franc holding firm ahead of the Fed minutes, euro loonie bouncing as oil softens, and dollar rupee drifting lower on hopes of a US-India trade deal. Looking ahead, it's a focused calendar. The UK inflation data at 700 GMT is the main European event, followed by the Eurozone's final consumer price figures. In the US, the Fed's minutes arrive later, alongside remarks from several officials, but most of the committee's thinking is already in the public domain. Then, after the close, all eyes on Nvidia's earnings and guidance. What I'll be watching today: the pound against the US dollar and against the yen, with a softer inflation print likely to keep a downtrend bias, while any upside surprise could spark a brief squeeze. Dollar-yen for signs that intervention nerves cap rallies as Japan's policy mix evolves. Euro-Canadian dollar for an uptrend if crude stays heavy. Gold for a continued upward bias into the Fed minutes as safe haven demand lingers. And the Australian dollar against the US dollar, where risk-off tone keeps the near-term trend pointed lower. The takeaway: sentiment is cautious, not broken. And today's inflation and tech signals will tell us whether defensiveness persists or risk appetite gets a late-week lift. That's it for today's edition of the Daily Market Brief. Thanks for listening. I'm Blair Blackwell. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice, trading recommendations, or investment guidance.